Why is leadership in small business so hard? I am so honored to get to talk with you today about this topic. I've been traveling across the country to multiple conferences over the last couple of weeks. Plus, I took a fully unplugged 10-day vacation with my husband, which that was awesome. But as I've been traveling and going to conferences, I have lots of conversations with small business owners and entrepreneurs. And I actually found myself in this particular conversation multiple times. I had business owners pull me over and we were talking about different challenges in their businesses. And I couldn't believe this theme just kept coming up. I heard this question, like, why is it so hard to lead in our small businesses? So today I want to talk about this topic, and I want to talk openly about it with you because I think you may be holding yourself to an unfair expectation. And here's what I mean. You have this thing that you do really well and you're very passionate about it. And that's why you're in small business that you're in. You've built your business around that strength, that skill, that thing that comes really easy to you. And our strengths they come easy to us. And we don't get much training anywhere in our lives how to lead in a small business. There's no college course for that. There's no high school course for sure. And I want to share with you, when I was in high school, I think I was probably like most teenagers. I was very muddled and confused. I had very little clarity on what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. I was kind of just coasting through my classes and showing up and then having fun with my friends on the weekends and, doing the things away from school that were fun. And one of the things, though, that I was doing is I was very perplexed about people and my friends and different relationships. And I saw how some people handled things well, some people didn't handle things well. I saw myself struggle with anxiety. I saw friends struggle with anxiety. And I was just trying to figure it all out. And I'm a reader. And so I started reading Sigmund Freud in high school. Yep, I know it's a little geeky, right? But that really was my attempt. Like I got interested in psychology because I was struggling to understand people. And I really geeked out on it. I love psychology. People are fascinating to me. And that was kind of my start. I found my path and I majored in psychology, and I went on from that and I got a PhD in counseling psychology to help people with their challenges. And one of the things that whenever you do any therapy, and I did therapy for years, whenever you do therapy with anyone, the conversations always come back to relationships. And what's interesting to me is that I think we in general as a society are really perplexed by people. People are complex. And so what I want you to understand is if you're struggling in your leadership, in your small business, number one, you're not alone. It's perfectly normal. There's nobody who's born a leader. Leadership is something we learn, and we learn it through the school of hard knocks. And the people who learn it and move forward and get better and better at it, those of us who've done that, it's because we're seeking out feedback and input from others, and we're looking around and we're paying attention to, oh, that person handles difficult conversations really well. I want to learn from them. And how did they learn that? And so it's kind of like you just kind of pay attention to who's doing it well and what do they know? What are they learning? And at Tap the Potential, as we have built out our Better Business, Better Life program, I've been very intentional to include research, the latest research on leadership and positive psychology and communication, and really bring you the best tools to help you grow as a leader. Because when it comes down to it, everything in the business is about your leadership, your ability to build a team, to delegate. All of that impacts the revenue growth, the profitable revenue growth, the profit in the business. And As a matter of fact, I did a deep dive in episode 238 on getting out of your own way to be profitable in your business. That'd be a great episode. If you haven't listened to it yet, go back and listen to it, because I offer you some insight in there to understanding how your personality and your own Achilles heels can continually get in the way and undermine your profitability in your business. And this ties in with what we're talking about today, because learning how to be that leader in your small business is the key to you, number one, being profitable, to freeing up your time, and being able to take your life back. And so if this leadership is a struggle for you, and it's a struggle for most of us, I really encourage you to quit beating up on yourself. Just say, okay, this is a new skill set. And being in business is all about learning new skill sets, especially as the business grows. Business ownership and business growth is the fastest track to personal development you can ever get on, because when you start your business, I know for myself, when I started my business, I had to learn how to sell. I had never marketed anything. I was an introvert, and I had to learn how to talk to people about something that I was excited about. And I had to learn how to talk to them in a way that it connected with them. That was a whole new skill set for me. I figured it out pretty quickly. I got mentors. I hired a mentor coach. I read books. I went to online classes. I did everything to learn it, because the business wasn't going to survive. And so you're in this cycle when you start your business of sell and do. Do the thing you do. So I would sell the coaching, I would do the coaching. I would sell the coaching, I would do the coaching. And it was going great, and business was growing. But then I got too busy, right? When you get really good at selling the thing, you're going to get busy, and then you have a capacity issue. And that's where you have to hire people, and you have to bring on help. And if you're like me, I put it off way too long. Most of us put it off way too long, because I figured that adds complexity. And I don't know, how is this going to make my life easier? My first hire, bless her heart, Donna Krebs, who's still with me today. I hired her as a virtual assistant to help me get my newsletter out every week, and to help me with calendaring and scheduling with clients. And she's been with me now. I've been in business now almost 17 or 18 years. I think she's been with me probably 15 years. So she's really seen a lot of growth, and she's had a lot of patience with me as I have gone through the school of hard knocks as an entrepreneur, learning my own hard lessons. So that first hire, though, that you make, all of a sudden now you have the responsibilities of selling and doing. And those skill sets, usually, especially the selling skill set, is not always a skill set that we've mastered at the point where we need to hire people. So we're still mastering that side of it. And then we're trying to deal with the delivery of whatever it is we're doing. And we recognize there's gaps. And every business owner that I've talked to recognizes that they have gaps in their delivery, and that there's ways it could be improved and made better, that there's blind spots and things that they're not seeing that they could do better. And so we're focusing on, okay, I'm still learning the selling stuff, and I'm pretty good at it, but I'm not totally confident in it. And now I'm doing the things, and I'm trying to deliver things, but I know I'm not doing the best job, because kind of pulled in multiple directions. Plus, maybe you're doing your own bookkeeping or whatever on top of all of that, your social media. And now you've hired an assistant, and you now need to get them up to speed and support them in what they need, and make sure they have everything that they need to be successful. And so just as I lay all that out, do you see how your attention is getting pulled in multiple directions? And as you bring on that hire, and you move into the hire and lead phase of growing the business, so you're going from the selling and doing to the hire and lead phase, you're learning a lot of skills. And this transition is very, very messy for most of us. There's a lot of school of hard knocks going on in here. And a lot of us lack feedback and support and mentoring. Fortunately for me, I was in a coaching group with other fairly new entrepreneurs, and I had a mentor coach, and we would get together every week, and we would bring our challenges and our concerns. And I got feedback and input. And so it helped me. I really, when I look back on that, I think I'm so grateful that I made that decision to do that, because it really helped me short circuit some of the hard knocks learning that I went through. And it also helped me to quit beating up on myself, because that's the hardest part of learning how to lead in a small business, is when we screw up, we beat up on ourselves and we say, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Just today, a business owner said to me, I forgot my team member's birthday. And I said, you know what? It's okay. It just means you need a system for remembering your team members' birthdays. And yeah, it stinks that you did that. And let's use it as an opportunity just to get a system in place. So you see right there, immediately, it's easy to start just, oh, I'm bad later, and start beating up on ourselves for stuff like that. But then on the other hand, like, of course you forgot. You have multiple team members and you have lots of things pulling for your attention, and maybe you don't have a system yet for this. So yeah, those things are going to get forgotten. And when we are trying to do all of this in a vacuum and by ourselves and trying to figure it all out, that's where I think it gets unnecessarily hard to be a leader in your small business. And when you move from the selling and doing phase to the hiring and leading phase in the business, one of the things that can be really hard for you to grasp is the awareness that your primary responsibility is shifting from being the one who's client facing and doing all the delivery and doing all the selling, to you got to grow leaders now in your business. You've got to have team members that you build up their confidence and have them feeling really good about stepping out and making their own decisions as they're taking things off your plate. And that is so hard. There are so many ways in that little process right there to screw it up and to feel like, wow, I'm a failure, and to start going down that slippery slope of self-doubt. And then if you have team members who are blunt and forthright with you, or even if you have some team members who are good at playing on your emotions, they will take advantage of that. And so when you're trying to learn how to give critical feedback and say, here's an area you're doing great over here, and in this area over here, there's a huge gap, and we're not seeing the results we need from you. And you're having those conversations, and then the team members turn it back on you and say, but you haven't set me up for success, or you haven't trained me in that, and you and all the finger pointing back at you. If you don't have support around you and good coaching and mentoring, it's very easy to take that kind of feedback from a team member and say, wow, yeah, they're right. I'm screwing this up. I'm not doing a good job as a leader. And then we start going down that slippery slope of self-doubt. We lose our confidence. We shut ourselves down. We quit having those critical conversations with our team member. And that's where things just become a mess in the business, and it becomes harder and harder to lead. And one of the things that I quickly became aware of when I started coaching small business owners and helping them with their hiring and people problems is that it's very hard to lead team members who are not A players. When you're trying to lead a team of warm bodies, you're really going to doubt your leadership skills, and your confidence in yourself as being a leader goes up exponentially with every A player that you hire, because let's face it, A players are just easy to lead. they come with their own intrinsic motivation. They're disciplined. They want to do the things that need to be done. And that's totally different than trying to coach people who show up to collect a paycheck, who they check the boxes and they get it done, but they're not getting it done with love. They're not putting that little something extra on it. And you're trying to explain to them what that little something extra even is, or what it looks like. And ultimately, this is just an immutable law conflict. They don't hold an immutable law that says, yeah, we need to give that little something extra. We need to do things with love around here and care and thoughtfulness. And you're trying to coach them and teach them that, and they're not responding to you. And then you start feeling like, it must be me. Like, what's wrong with me? But then when you have A players and you say, it looks to me like you kind of got this done, but it was haphazard, and that's not your usual style. What's going on here? And an A player is going to say, oh, wow, you're right. That's not how I like to do things. And I can tell I let the team down. I'm really sorry. I'm going to get this right next time. Like, that's an A player response. And then you're going to be like, yeah, man, I know how to lead. I'm good at this. And so your confidence as a leader goes up. So if you're in that slippery slope of self-doubt with your leadership, the very first place to look is the quality of the people you are trying to lead. And I'll give you an example. This is a real life example for me. We're living this right now. We just bought a horse for my daughter. My daughter's been riding ever since she was 2 or 3. She's done it on and off. She got out of it during COVID, and she's recently gotten back into it. And she's just got a passion for animals and horses. And so it was just really clear this is a path for her in life, and we're going to support her on it. So we got her a horse, and she's going to start doing competitions. And we actually hired someone to find a horse for us because as we started learning about this, we realized that you need to match the horse with the rider. And my daughter is at a point where the lesson horses at the stables where she was going to ride, she had advanced beyond them. They weren't challenging her anymore. So she needed a horse that would challenge her. But she didn't need a horse that would challenge her so much she wouldn't be successful in competition because she's spending all of her time training the horse. Are you starting to see an analogy here with the team members you have in your business? If you hire A players, you're hiring a horse that's at a level where you're ready to lead them, right? If my daughter had gotten a horse that needed so much help to come up to standard, I mean, it would have really challenged her. She wouldn't have had any chance to succeed in competition. And so, because she'd be spending all her time just doing the basics with this horse. So we needed a horse that had enough of the basics, but still needed some finishing off. And that's what we were looking for. And that's where most of your A players come from that you hire in a small business. They come with intrinsic motivation. They come with strengths. They lack skills. You're going to have to train them in those skills, but they want to do a good job and they're motivated. And now, but the difference is she's ready for that horse. She's ready for that competition. My younger daughter loves horses. She's been riding. She's not as confident as my older daughter is around horses because she hasn't had as much exposure. And so she is really struggling in her leadership with this horse who is like ready to go and has a strong will. She's having to learn how to step it up and be confident and take the lead with this horse. And so this horse is not a good horse necessarily for her to build her leadership with. It's a little too far along with her than where she is. And so this to me is the equivalent of a small business owner who's learning how to hire and learning what A players are and deciding, you know what? I want to replace me. I'm going to hire that high level position in my business and I'm going to replace me. Well, when you do that, and a lot of small business owners do that, and it's a huge mistake. So many things can go wrong. You can hire people who don't have the right immutable laws. You can hire people who are very strong willed and they'll tell you, I've always done it this way and you're newer at this, you just don't know. And so your confidence just starts to erode. So it's very important to look at, if you're struggling in your leadership, number one, the quality of the people that you're trying to lead. Looking to hire A players will make it easier for you to grow your confidence as a leader. And the other thing about A players is they will give you honest feedback without the sting. And that means the world to you in growing as a leader, when they're giving you honest feedback without that jab, without that trying to kind of knock you down a notch. They're just saying, hey, you usually do a good job, but the way you talk to me in that situation or the way you handle that situation, that didn't work. Here's what I need in the future. And that's how A players give feedback. And that is like this mutually beneficial relationship because you're going to grow, they're going to grow, and things get better from that. And I want to talk a little bit too about the other things that make leadership in small business so hard. So first off, you have limited resources in a small business, and we're always trying to be very innovative with how we use those resources. And that's a big part of the Tap the Potential solution is, you put profit first in place. You design your business to be sustainably profitable. I was in group the other day with some of our newer group members who've been with us now, I think going on 3 months. And there was a common theme that I was hearing in their call strategy forms. And they were all saying, we're making our profit first allocations, but cash flow is tight. Cash flow is tight. Cash flow is tight. And I said, you know what? Cash flow is going to be tight from here forward when you have profit first in place, because you've taken one large bank account and now you've divvied it out and you've allocated for taxes, you've allocated for owner's pay, you've allocated for profit. And now you have a smaller plate to run the operating expenses on. And you have guardrails around your operating expenses. So you have these limited resources, and that's where we have to get innovative. So when you have limited resources, you're always having to keep an eye on managing those resources while you're trying to lead. And then you're wearing multiple hats in the business because, you may have 5 team members. And I guarantee you, if you have 5 team members, you have 5 team members who are all in multiple roles. And you as the owner are probably still very much working in multiple roles in the business. So it's very hard to be that inspiring leader in the business as you're getting pulled back down into doing the bookkeeping or running over here and working on the sales side of the business. All of those things compete with your attention. And so when you're trying to learn new skills as leadership skills or new skills for most of us, and you're being pulled in all these directions, that's another part of what makes it hard. And the other piece of what makes it hard, and this ties into the limited resources, is high turnover. If you have a lot of high turnover, particularly in your entry-level positions, you're probably feeling like you're getting continually pulled down in working on the basics in the business. And so one of the things that I think is so nice about when you use the How to Hire the Best system, and particularly for people who read the book, go through our How to Hire the Best course, they quickly learn how to position themselves to be an employer of choice. And if you can get a solid How to Hire the Best system in place for your entry-level positions where you do have a lot of turnover, you systematize your hiring. And you also systematize your onboarding and training so that those things can happen faster and more efficiently and more effectively. And we see 2 really cool things happening when you do that. Number one, your turnover rates drop because you're doing better with onboarding people, and you're also getting more selective in who you're hiring. You're getting better at hiring A players. The typical business owner is going to mishire 75% of the time. So those who go through our How to Hire the Best course, they improve their percentages on hiring right every time they hire. And I think a lot of them who've been doing How to Hire the Best for a year or 2 are really getting closer to that 80 to 90% hiring right versus 75% of the time you're hiring wrong. So that starts to reduce your turnover, but you also get better at filling your pipeline of A players so that when you do have an open spot, you're not scrambling and putting up an ad and just praying that somebody shows up and applies for the position. You have people who you've been in contact with who are interested in that position. So you can just reach out to your pool of people and you can fill those positions easier. And that really starts to help you build your leadership. So ultimately, I think what it comes down to, why is leadership in small business so hard? It comes down to limited resources, your stretched capacity, you're learning new skills. People are very complex. And the biggest hurdle we have to overcome is our own limited perspective. And so when we're hunkered down in our own thoughts and trying to figure it out on our own, that's where we can get in our own way over and over and over. So having that coach, that mentor, the group of peers around you who are other business owners who can give you perspective and feedback is so, so valuable. And there's another piece to this, though, that I've seen successful entrepreneurs use repeatedly. It's a theme that comes up over and over. And that is taking the time to slow down and take care of yourself. So exercising, letting go of the tension and stress, and not handling things as soon as it happens, because that's when we're going to fly off the handle and make those leadership mistakes. But when we're exercising on a daily basis, we're clearing our head and we're setting ourselves up to think more clearly. Getting better sleep also goes, those two go hand in hand. The other two practices that I see successful entrepreneurs using, that I use, is meditation and journaling. Writing out our thoughts, slowing down our thinking, clearing our heads as we're making decisions so that we can be more thoughtful and proactive instead of reactive. So I hope what I'm sharing with you today has been helpful in giving you a sense of, hey, I'm struggling with my leadership in my small business, and it's okay. Like, it's normal. There's nothing wrong with you. And I also want to extend the opportunity, if you want to come work with our team next week in the Jumpstart. We have our Better Business, Better Life Jumpstart happening. We have it running in May, and we're going to offer it again in June. So you have two opportunities to come into our Better Business, Better Life Jumpstart. And the Jumpstart is where we really support you in putting the Tap the Potential solution in place, the foundational pieces and the mindset shifts that you need to make to really move from that place of doing everything in your business, working really hard, and getting to a point where you have other team members, you have people who you are leading, and they're taking things off your plate. So you're taking your life back from your business. If you are in a place where you want that support and you want to hear and connect with other entrepreneurs, the Jumpstart is such an awesome place for that. When we do these Jumpstarts, you come every day of the week for an hour, and you get to know the other participants who are going through the Jumpstart with you. You hear their challenges, you hear their questions, and it gives you perspective. You get to work with me. You get to ask me questions. We have other members of the Tap the Potential team there. Melissa Swire, our lead strategist, is there. Carson French, Caitlin Beaver is there. And we are all there coming together to support you in putting the foundational pieces of the Tap the Potential solution in place. And the Jumpstart is also a preview of what it's like to be in our Better Business, Better Life program. And that's where you really get to benefit from coaching, mentoring, and the engagement with your peers who are also in small business. So sign up for the Jumpstart, tapthepotential.com/Jumpstart. And if you're thinking, well, I can't attend every single day, I've got too much going on, that's okay. It's recorded. Show up when you can and let us support you. Let it experience what it's like to have support and have people who've got your back as you go through the Jumpstart with us. It's a whole different experience than trying to do business on your own and figuring it out on your own. And the other thing that I want to say about the Jumpstart is that if you are really in that place where you're ready to take the 4-week vacation pledge, and you're like, I want to take my life back. I want to get my business where I can be away from it for 4 weeks at a time and really fully unplug. The Jumpstart is where you need to be, because that's where you're going to get the foundational pieces to get started, to getting your business on the trajectory for you to take a 4-week vacation. So I hope that I will get to see you and work with you in our Jumpstart. Head on over to tapthepotential.com/Jumpstart. Bye for now.